Boom, what's popping? We back in the Wolves Den, and I got my brother with me, Nasha from QuickStop F1, probably one of the hottest because I consider myself hot and Cam hot on the planet in the Formula One space. What's going on, bro?
I'm good. You know what? It's a pleasure and an honor to be in the Wolves Den. I've got myself a little rum and juice. You know how it is. It's Friday. You know what? Yeah. Yeah, you're on the wall, of course you are. You always make me feel bad for my choices, but that's fine. But yeah, I feel good. I feel like this is a celebration, you know. I feel like, hold on. I just realized I got the football. Take that off.
Yeah, right. Stay with the football.
Bro, you know what it is? I realized I need the balance. Last year I kind of fell off and I was like F1 and I was like I need something else, so that's why. But anyway, look, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me, bro. I really appreciate it.
Hey, you know that, bro, fam. So everybody, if you in here, it's because you VIP, you member. If you didn't make it in here and you seeing us on YouTube, that's your own damn fault. You should have signed up. You should have been here. The announcement was out. You should have joined the fam. You get an opportunity to ask this man questions after we have our casual brother conversation. I'm going to bring you all in. Hands up first. Go in order. Try not to double up, triple up, bring a whole debate. We're not doing that. Be mindful of your other family members, and we're going to keep it moving. But Nasha, bro, I got something to ask you,
This is a sick idea. No, before we start. Yeah. This is incredible.
Yeah, so that's what we've been doing, bro.
How long have you been doing this?
Man, we've been in the Wolves Den like last season. Last season we was in the Wolves Den. Yeah. Facts.
This is like Spaces, but on
the Wolves only.
The Wolves, that's so
Wolves
good.
Only, man, for my fam.
That's so good. No, the way you give back to your community is incredible, man.
Because I love them, man. They love me.
No, but it's ingenious. It's ingenious. Like, and it's really forward thinking, and no one else does it. So that's incredible.
Thank you.
No,
Thank
that's
you.
Okay. Sorry. I'm so used to being on the other end. I need to
Hey, that's okay, man. That's okay. You my brother, man. We gonna be popping again at 6 a.m. Right?
Yeah.
Right. We're gonna be on again at 6. So man, let me ask you a question, bro. How you feeling about today, man? How you feeling about today? About damn near second off. Mercedes bringing some updates. You know, I don't call them upgrades anymore. They only updates until they yield positive progress. How do you feel right now? Second race, still early. How you feel right now, Mercedes, Aston, Red Bull, Ferrari? What you thinking?
Man, it feels... I think if you don't have your third eye open...
Okay.
You would think it's a crisis. I think if you were to just be blindly watching and taking in everything. You know what? Have you ever seen the Defiant ones? The Dr. Dre documentary with Jim Iovine. And Eminem says that Dr. Dre has the best bullshit filter in the world. And I feel like that's how you have to watch F1 coverage, because if you take everything at face value, you'll just be hit with a lot of bullshit. Whereas if you have a bullshit filter, you know, to make drama, they have to create drama. And I think, I think Mercedes, the way they communicate is a high level of accountability. And I think that because of that, it can create like a storm. And let's not lie, things are bad. Then for where Mercedes were, you know, in 2021, even with like the drop off in pace from 2020 to 2021, but you know, I guess we could all blame that on the regulation changes.
Right.
And then you get into 2022 and, you know, we're like, they just don't know the concept. They're not matching it with what's in the sim and in the wind tunnel. By the next season, they'll get it. For them to be where they are, it's bad. It's bad. But I guess what makes it, sorry, that was a long way of saying what makes it worse is what's coming out of the team. And what's coming out of the team is pretty bleak. So yeah, but I think
after all that rain and showers and what you got, but
I think this is
you think this is the bottom?
I don't think it's the bottom, but I think they've said that we've had meetings and we're going to make changes and we're going to move forward. So you can only hope if we're going to keep a positive cap on, I think that means that the car will start to progress towards a car that, like Lewis said, maybe after the summer break.
Hold on. You gotta be on mute when you come in. You gotta be on mute when you come in. Who's that not on mute?
That would be plus nice. Okay. Thank you so much.
Hold on.
Thank you.
Y'all gotta be on mute when you come up in here. You wreck the party. Go ahead, Nasha.
That's hilarious. I like that though. So
Keep it
I
real. And that shit's not getting edited out. We can't keep it real.
Keep that in there. Oh my God, that's hilarious. So, I think as someone who wants to stay on the positive side of things, maybe after the summer break, we'll be able to push for things, and maybe there'll be circuits which favor our characteristics the same way that Spain did, the same way that Silverstone did, the same way that Brazil did, but it's not great, bro. How are you feeling about it? Because I feel like we're quite similar in how we tried. I think we both believed the team.
Right.
And then the team then have started to say everything they've started to say. So I guess, how do you now feel having kind of taken all that in?
I'm honestly, I'm about to have some fun with it, man. I'm about to drop probably one of my worst videos ever and have some fun with it, like tonight, just to throw some shit out there. Because it's a lot of people out there. You know how it goes, man. When giants fall, when people that are great, when teams that are great start to hit a challenge, everybody who was spiteful as shit, just waiting for the downfall, they got those little stones ready. You know what I'm saying? And now that the moon is within the stratosphere of the earth, they feel like they can reach it, and they're gonna throw those stones, and they're gonna have that. They're gonna have their moment. But I still do not believe either. I'm just keeping it real. Either this season or next season, Mercedes will find their way back. They'll find their way back, and it might not be on everybody else's timeline. It might not happen this season. Like, this might be very well true. They might end up chucking another season of Lewis's career in the bucket with trying to figure out whether they did right and they can figure out, or we totally screwed up and we're going to have to go back the other way. But either way it goes, I don't think if they have to reverse, it's that far away for them to have to reverse. They got several teams they can get ideas from. It's a lot of data out there on the copy and paste idea of the side pod and the floor design. There's a lot of that out there. Now, the direction that they're going in right now, there's only them. It's only them. They can only go off their data, and they're having to learn in real time what this car is showing them, and if they can take advantage of that and make progress. So, sometimes the best road travel is often the worst road travel. You have to be molded, and pressure's going to do two things. It's going to bust pipes, or it's going to make diamonds. So either it's going to bust a pipe on this W series, or it's going to make a diamond. And I always say risk over reward, or reward over risk. If Mercedes get it right, the ceiling could be another 5 years of dominance. And then what happens is the same thing Alpine's doing. Alpine they copied, Aston Martin copied the Red Bull. Then they dabbled in Alpine and dabbled in, Red Bull and all this
Ferrari,
other stuff. So
Ferrari as well.
Right, and Ferrari. Exactly. So what's going to happen when Mercedes begins to be dominant beyond that is teams will have to they're going to want to do that. But then they got to understand, there's probably 2 seasons of you going through the bullshit to get here. And that's, so it's up in the air, man. Right now, I just keep it real and just look at it for what it is, because I think we owe that to ourselves. But I'm not going to forget, nobody forgot how to make a championship car. They try to make something new, and it might not work. But then again, it might.
And I think that's it. I think when you look at the way that Mercedes operate, it's very much on their own timetables. Look at how they kind of, when they came into the sport, how they kind of sacrificed 13 for gain in 14, 15, 16, 17, right?
Right.
And that's kind of how they approached the 2021 season. They said, look, 2022, there's going to be a massive regulation change. And we're going to sacrifice this season to enable us to get into a space where we'll be able to dominate for years to come.
Right.
Like you say, high risk, high reward. Unfortunately, with high risk does also come high failure at the end of the day, right? That's the whole point. And unfortunately, it has failed. Do I see them going down a path of copying another manufacturer? No. I think what will happen is they might take bits of this, bits of that, but I do think that whatever concept they start to go down, whatever ideas they have, it's a long-term plan that's not just can we develop a car for next season to win the title. It's can we develop a car probably for 25, 26, and I guess beyond. I mean, look, it's crazy. These regulations felt like they were ages away, but now we have a situation where the regulations change again in 3 years time?
Right,
so,
bro, right around the corner.
Yeah, so it's not far away. So I guess, look, maybe in that sense, that does give them the right to maybe go a bit more short term, because it's possible that by the time they get to 25, they're probably not going to concentrate too much on the 25 car because of the 26 car and everything they're going to need to put into that. So it's a tight situation. But like you said, I don't think you could stop building a car overnight. I think you have to remember, people have to sell papers, and what sells papers? Drama sells papers. They're even saying, "Oh, Lewis has got rid of Angela. Is that something that It's like, no, that's not. But they have to create things. They have to create drama, and I think this is something that we've been saying to one of our brothers. Like, you can't just take every single news article. I said to them, I said, not every expert's opinion is an expert opinion. And like thinking but you can't, just because someone has a background in something or someone has a blue check or whatever, doesn't mean that what they're saying is right. And you don't know their biases, you don't know their intentions, you don't know their morals, you don't know what they're doing for money. True. So we have to filter this information as Mercedes fans. I think I got caught up in it. I got caught up in it in a little bit, but I think I've come back. Yeah, I think I've come back down today, and I think I can see that. Yeah, the car's not great, but they're going to fix it, and hopefully they do at some point.
All right, so here we go with his game time. First wolf up for his question is Musa. I'm gonna lower your hand. Unmute yourself. You got the mic.
I love this.
Thank you very much, Alpha Pack, and for making this happen. I've been watching man like Nash for a minute, and I really enjoy his content.
Are you from South Africa?
His platform. Yeah, I'm from South Africa.
Whereabouts?
So, Johannesburg.
Joburg. Oh, nice. I was there in January.
What?
I was in Joburg. Yeah, it was covert. I had to take some time. When Dave Chappelle went to Africa to clear his mind? That was me.
For real, my bro was out there too.
I've gone for 3 weeks, but I was in Joburg. I was near Rosebank.
Wow, you really was close. Oh, I screwed up.
Yeah.
But pull through. Yeah,
what's your question? What you got?
We'll definitely pull it through.
What's your question? Sorry, I'm just chatting here. My fault.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, it's the last 2 seasons is about digging deep, as a team, and I think everyone that's going to be there is just becoming stronger in the sense of just where they need to go, and preparing them for the fruits that they're planting the seed for right now.
Okay.
And the question I have for you is, I know it's very early in the season, but who do you think is going to fight the championship with the current championship leader?
Good question.
This season,
not sure what you got.
This season or?
Musa, you want to know this season or next season? This season. Yeah. Okay, he says this season.
2023.
Appreciate it, Musa.
No one, man. This championship's done. I'm sorry. I don't want to piss on everyone. I'm sorry. Right, no. This championship's finished, guys. I'm sorry. Wrap it up. Shit. I don't want to be that guy. I'm sorry. Look, the only person that can challenge Max is Perez, because he's in the same car. And the problem is, even though he's in the same car, he's not in the same car. So, even that is like a situation where I don't think that is going to be something that is going to be an equitable fight for the championship. So, look, then it's Ferrari. I don't think Aston Martin have enough. Do Ferrari? I think the question is, can Ferrari develop their car over the period of a season more than Red Bull can, given that they have a 25% penalty, and they're saying, but I saw Ted say that, they said if they're efficient with their time, it shouldn't be a problem. So they've already shrugged off the time penalty. So, but if Red Bull can be outdeveloped, then maybe Ferrari. But if you can develop a car to be a net 7/10 a second quicker than the other car by the end of the season, then that's I don't know how many times that's been done. The only time I can think is Braun and Red Bull, but I don't think the gap was that wide between Braun GP and Red Bull in 2009. So I'm sorry to give such a horrible answer.
That's a real answer for your ass. So next time, Musa, you got another one. Feel free to put your hand up, brother. But next, I'm going to Mary Beanie. What's up, lawyer? I'm going to lower your hand. You got the mic, Mary.
Hey, Nasha.
Hi, Mary. Mary, I just want to say I appreciate you always commenting, always supporting. I think being one of the first people to join one of our spaces, it doesn't go unnoticed. So thank you so much.
Yeah, well, you were one of the first persons I spoke to after ED21. I was a bit irate then. But
you were. I'll never forget it.
Hey, I just wanted to ask you, Nasha. At least Newey had the right top on the day. How much input do you think? I think he's had a lot of input. How much input do you think Newey's had with the Aston Martin car? Kind of in his consultancy role.
Good question, Mary. Appreciate that.
That's a good question. I think indirectly maybe he has. I think with Dan Fallows having worked underage in Newey, so I think it's almost like when you have musicians, right? Like if you look at the Rolling Stones, and you might see other bands who have followed afterwards, maybe like if you look at it in a different way, but like, other bands like, I don't know, the Foo Fighters or other bands that have come back, you can see kind of comparisons or whatever, Jay-Z and all the rappers that have come like after that. There's always going to be an influence because he's been in the sport so long, and obviously this is his specialty. I don't have enough information to say that he's had a direct hand in it, but I think everyone in some way is looking at Newey as the ground effect guy. And I think any car on the grid in some way, and I think any engineer who's of a certain age bracket would probably be having Adrian Newey's books on their shelf and would have been studying those to death, because he's such a giant of the game. He is, right. Whether you like it or not, one of, if not the greatest F1 car designer ever. Like, it's crazy. So yeah, let's see. We'll see. But I don't know if it's a direct influence, but definitely Mary, an indirect influence because of Dan and the work he's done, 100%.
Definitely. I mean, you got to get that man his flowers. Like I always say, you don't have to support a driver or a team to understand what they've done as something ingenious or something like that, just to give credit to the innovation or the ideas. We got to be able to separate character from practice, from participation to competition. And you got to be able to do that and be real with yourself, especially as a competitor. Like if you got another competitor that's beating your ass, the only way you really going to try to find out if you're going to improve yourself is to really acknowledge why and how is it that they have what they have that's causing me to get my ass beat. So that's
Jay, to beat your enemy, you must know your enemy.
Thank you, bro. Facts. Facts.
Right, Joe, I know you know that one. So
yeah, for you haters out there.
You can't go into battle without knowing who you're going in against, and that's the whole thing about F1, and that's why they do these Roger Peels and they get these it's most of the time they think they're going to lose, but what do they get out of it? The knowledge of, okay, here's the scrutineering, here's why it's legal, here's why it's not legal, because they're learning about their enemies. So that's what Mercedes are doing at the moment. Look, if I was Toto, I'd be appealing every last thing on that car. Same way I would be walking up to that car in Parc Ferme. What's that? Let's appeal it the same way Christian
does, right?
5, 6, 7 years appealing every aspect of the Mercedes car. That's what they used to do. Let's find out about this car. Let's put them under some pressure. But like I say, Jay, you've got to respect, game recognized game, and Adrian Newey is an incredible designer.
Fact. Hey, Will Harris, you up? I'm gonna lower your hand. You got the mic. Unmute yourself.
All right.
Oh, Will, I was about to say, bro, you about to be out of there.
I got you. Good evening, guys. I wanted to start out and say, I see what you guys are doing in this space. Jay, Yasha, Tandy, you guys doing over there at QuickStop.
Yeah.
And, you guys definitely, give your flowers while you can still smell them, right? So, as Cam would say, purple sectors.
Don't forget, it's coming out.
I wanted to touch on Kyalami. That's been in the news since the beginning of this year, and them trying to get this GP going, and it looked like they were going to have it ready for 2024, but it fell apart. They might not meet this March 31st deadline to have all the contracts together and all that. I wanted to bring up the fact that I think that it's something that they're not putting a lot of effort into, because they fell short by 1.5 million to the guy down there at Kyalami. I know the Schechters are involved, Jody Schechter, former F1 champ, him and his nephew trying to put this together. And I guess my question is this: if we can gather up, like a little over $7 million in fines, you're telling me that the FIA can't maybe put that money towards trying to close this gap to get Kyalami on the calendar? I don't know if you guys, like, what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah.
If there's anything they could do to actually put this together, because it seems like the gap is it's minimal. It's minimal. They should be able to get this done.
A good question. We'll appreciate it. Nasha, what you got, brother?
That's such a good question, and it's something that I've been considering myself. I think first and foremost, I think the FIA. Okay, let me do it from giving them the benefit of the doubt. If I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, I think they've come quite far forward in trying to make a race happen. And I don't think the entry fee for Kyalami is probably equitable to what, let's say, the Middle Eastern races are paying, right? So, unless I'm wrong. So I think in their mind that they're like, look, this is the amount. We're not a charity, we're a business. This would set precedent, etc., etc. If I'm being real, I think it's, are you going to stand on your promise and your ground that you want to make a race in Africa happen? Is this truly a world championship or not? And I think you're right. And I think even if it was, look, bro, if like you lend your mate, like, maybe you lend him £100 or something. He's like, oh yeah, look, I'm gonna make £200 later, and I'll give you £100 out of that. They could take it out of the profit that this race makes. I'm sure there's things that they could do on the back end to make it happen. And I think, we don't know whether it's brinksmanship with the business side of things. We don't know if they're waiting for Morocco to come in and maybe put a bid in, and then at least that satisfies. Although, I guess the optics of having a race in Africa, look, I love North Africans. I think the optics of having a race in North Africa instead of Southern Africa, I think the optics of that aren't the same. And I don't think it's the same message. Although we are all African, but I think it's really important for South Africa to get it, but it's also really important for South Africa to have their business in order. And I think, that's a problem with, look, I was there, we've got load shedding, we've got all these things like infrastructure's fine. They've hosted a World Cup. So I've got no doubt they could host one race in one city. Like, that's easy, but they just have to, I think it's just from the FIA, probably, or F1, are you ready for this? Do you have the funds? Do you have the equity and the capital to be able to put on this race? And I guess they're waiting for that. But personally, I would love it. I would honestly, obviously, me and Tandy both have South African heritage. We're both over there quite a lot. We both have a lot of family there. We have a lot of fans there. You know, our third biggest demographic is South Africa. It would mean the world for us to, thank you. It'd mean the world for us to be able to go to South Africa. And I really do hope it gets done, because the party that will happen in that place, you don't understand. These guys love partying on a normal day, let alone if there's a Grand Prix. It will be the party of all parties. So I hope and pray that it does get done. And I hope that it's just an impasse and that they get to it.
Bet. Roger that. Musa, you gonna be up again, bro. Then we're getting to Sylvia Wick. Go ahead, Musa, unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. Could we have Sylvia go first by any chance?
Oh, look at you, man. I was wondering to the back of my head. I said, is he gonna give it to ladies first? I said, I was really testing you, bro. But good job.
Come on, man. We gotta slide that
Good
chance,
job.
man.
Sylvia Wick. Hey, Sylvia Wick, Musa relays to you. Sylvia Wick, you got the mic.
What a bunch of polite people.
Hey, I'm trying to tell you, man, my family on it, man. They be on it.
No,
bro.
you know what, yeah? You know when you go to people's house and you see their kids, or you meet a kid and they're like so polite, and you're like, oh, these guys were brought up well. That's how I feel about these guys on it. Everyone's polite, everyone's got nice questions. Sylvia.
Sylvia, what you got, darling? You got it.
Thank you, Musa. You're such a gentleman. I just wanted to know, with last year's cost cap, Red Bull was so lightly penalized. Do you think that more teams are going to breach that cost cap this year?
We talked about this too. Good one, Sylvia. Good one. What you think, Nasha?
Look, Jay, do you remember when this was happening and Cam was like insistent? In the same way, you know, we should have seen the signs then, to be honest. I love you, Cam.
We do.
But he, because he has experience in accounting, and he was essentially saying that if you can, not in as much words, but if they prove that it was an oversight rather than an overspend, then they will be fine, right? Because you know, numbers are hard. These numbers, to get these numbers from all these different things and to have that much money,
right,
and then for it to be such a small percentage out of that much money, you know, that's why they were able to, I'm sure, in those negotiations, which no one had any privy to, were able to argue their punishment down to what, a $7 million fine and a 25% in wind tunnel and CAD development. So my answer is, if I was feeling lucky and if I was feeling like I could bend the rules and make it look like an oversight rather than overspend, then I would, for sure. But you've got to be a brave person to break the spending rules the year after they've punished someone for breaking the spending rules, and to almost do it on purpose. Right. That's asking for trouble. And I think, do you want that? Do your sponsors want that? You know, because if, let's say you win the title and you've overspent and they found that you've egregiously overspent, you're not Red Bull. They will punish you. Facts. Facts. They would love to do that. They would love to do that. You know, when like you said to your mum was like, why have you done that? I was like, oh, my mate was doing it. I was like, oh, if your mate jumped off a cliff, would you do it? And then, like, you know, if Red Bull jump off a cliff, will you do it? And the FIA are going to be like, I'm going to punish you now because you shouldn't have done that. Just because Red Bull have done it doesn't mean you can do it. So, yeah, it's, I don't know. It's a good question. It's a really good question. And it'll be really interesting to see the books, but I don't think anyone will. I don't know. Right. You got to, you know what I'm saying? You got to make sure you get them chicken wings right. You know what I'm saying? You got to make sure you know how to cook that butt. Not you got to get them ingredients right. But it's not. It's not going to happen. We don't think it's going to happen that way. Mary Beanie, Musa has yielded to you as well, and then it will go to Musa, then Will. Mary Beanie, you got the mic. I'm going to lower your hand. Chop it.
Wow, what a gentleman. Nasha, I'm going to ask you this.
Yeah.
How much influence do you think? No, I think he's got a lot of influence. How much influence do you think the Poison Dwarf still got in the FIA? I think quite a lot. I think that's the reason why Red Bull got less a slap on the wrist. But I think at least 4 teams are going to be over the cost cap this year. And if you don't know who the Poison Dwarf is, it's Eccleston.
Oh!
That's what I call him.
That's so funny because he does look like a dwarf. I've never thought of that before. That's hilarious.
What you think, Nasha? What you think about that?
Again, I think I don't know if it's direct or indirect, but okay. I think, what film is it? I think it's in Marvel. Hydra. Cut one head off, 2 more will grow.
2 more will grow, right.
Yeah. And just because Bernie left doesn't mean that his spirit and whatever in that organization hasn't been able to prevail. But you have to remember, before Red Bull, Ferrari were the FIA darlings. You know, Ferrari were the ones who were getting all of the decisions, who were getting all of the preferential treatment. And it's almost, I don't want to say something I want to give him credit for, but the fact that Red Bull have gone from plucky underdog to a team which seemingly has the FIA and Formula One Liberty Media, like in their pocket, bro. I just think that's incredible. So do I think Bernie Eccleston, look, his wife has got a prominent position in the FIA. I think she's like some kind of in position in Brazil for the FIA. I don't know if she had any motorsport experience before that. So you've got that influence. I'm sure there are people who have Bernie Eccleston's, the same feelings that he had about Lewis Hamilton winning the title, breaking Schumacher's record, wanting to preserve Schumacher's legacy. I'm sure there's still people in there. And a lot of people, I think, Jay, you've even said, that was a big factor in what we saw in 2021. So, again, I don't think an indirect influence, but do I think that Bernie, who has cultivated this, this organization, cultivated Formula One, and I'm sure Liberty Media took over, but I'm sure there's still people in Formula One who still think the same way that Bernie do. I'm sure there's people in the FIA who has very obviously worked closely with Bernie who still think the same way he does. But they're just being swindled by a different operation now. And that operation is Red Bull. I think we're seeing that in front of our eyes with the ultimately lenient, the shift in the lenient punishment they got. That punishment was
that punishment was like this. It's like pop. There's like a little pat in your palm. It was a pat in your palm.
Do you know that little pat that people, when you're playing sports, you might give your teammate a little pat on the
right.
That's what it was. It wasn't even like it was like a come on, kid.
Good job. Good game.
Yeah, good job. Yeah.
Good game. Hey, so we got Musa. You up next after letting the ladies go not once, but twice. Gentlemen, you got the mic. Go ahead. I'm going to lower your hand.
Sure. I actually wanted us to imagine as if you're Lewis right now and you're going through the situation that's happening at Mercedes. Now, obviously, there's been rumors and this whole stipulation about you leaving as the team. And Lewis has been very calculative. He's always made, he's had a lot of luck and very accurate decisions in the past. If things tank and do not work out, are you going to stay with the team? Or are you going to go to a different race team?
Hold on, Musa. Damn, Nasser, that's a good one, man. So you got to close your eyes. Got to imagine yourself in Mercedes. And this shit's going on right now. Are you staying with the team or are you leaving, Nasser? What are you going to do?
Oh, stick or twist. You've got what have you got? You've got like a 17 in blackjack.
That's rough. That is rough.
Doing like stick or twist. Stick or twist. Probably. And to be fair, in that situation, I'd probably stick. You know, like I think for me,
Okay.
I think, you know, this is what we're talking about earlier in this episode, right? Like, with Mercedes, do they go for a quick fix or do they go for a long-term approach, right?
Right.
And I'm sure in the 5 years it took Michael Schumacher to win a title at Ferrari, I'm sure he was thinking, if I go to McLaren or if I go to I can't remember which teams were winning then. That was early in my F1 vintage. I know Hakkinen won.
Well, fact, yeah, Hakkinen was doing right.
Oh, Williams.
Obviously, Williams was doing good.
Yeah,
they were doing good.
So you know, I'm sure Michael Schumacher would have been thinking, okay, I just won 2 titles. I'm the best one on the grid. We've got an independent British team over there winning titles, Williams. We've got another independent British team afterwards winning titles.
Okay.
I'm in the biggest team in the sport, and the car is fundamentally not good enough to win a title, but I'm doing as much as I can to get as much out of it. I'm sure at points he was thinking, maybe I should leave. But I think you only have to look at Fernando Alonso's career to see what happens when you move teams and it goes wrong.
I spoke to this. Ricardo too.
Ricardo too. But Alonso, you move after 2007. What happens in 2008? Your team wins the title. You go to Ferrari. You display such a lack of patience in that car. You leave after 2014. What happens in 2015? They become a race-winning car. And in 2017 and 18, if you're in that car, you probably do better than Vettel did. And you probably take Lewis closer to the title. Right. And imagine Lewis in Mercedes, Alonso in Ferrari in a title challenge. Like, that is
smoke in the city.
Cash money. But you can also point to what's happened now, and he's left Alpine, and it seems to have gone well for him. But all I would say, and look at Ricardo, just
look how long that took.
Look how long it took. And honestly, if he just stayed, he would have been a world title contender.
There we go.
So I just think that it's, if you leave Mercedes, you're not just leaving the car, you're leaving the engine supply you've had since you were first in the sport, and who have essentially bankrolled obviously McLaren, but through their partnership with Mercedes, have bankrolled your junior karting career. You're leaving the diversity initiatives that you've started. You're leaving a team which gives you the freedom. Lewis is almost bigger than Mercedes F1. Is Lewis going to be allowed to be bigger than Ferrari?
Hell no, they ain't gonna like that. They're not gonna do that. That's like going to the Patriots. They're not having that.
Right? They're not having that. Is Lewis going to be able to speak about diversity? How many black people work at Ferrari?
Bro, it's just finna say that. Let's just keep it real.
Bro, I don't think one. I actually don't think one
I haven't seen
person works there. I haven't seen them.
Have you seen? Nope.
No.
Right.
So, and all of these things bring Lewis joy and they bring him motivation. It's not just about winning. And maybe that's okay for people like Alonso, for people like Ricardo, who out of the car don't really have anything else that keeps them going. But for Lewis, there's more things that keeps him going. And I'd be so surprised if he left. And if I was in his position, I wouldn't leave. And I would try my best. And you know what? If it doesn't work out and they end with 7, Man, there's some people that don't even get on the podium.
Facts,
Some
bro.
people don't even get in the points. You saw how George was crying after 3 seasons getting in the points. Like, I'm just saying. So I wouldn't leave. Would you, Jay? Would you leave?
Man, no, I'm not leaving. Got too much established here. Like my next contract is coming up. Like I'm going to be a part of the threads and vines and roots of Mercedes, like Niki Lauda. Like they're going to be naming a street after Lewis Hamilton.
Yes.
It's going to be that type of thing. Like Lewis Hamilton does not display the character to be a pole hopper. All right, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like you over here, you dancing. Listen, I got my ones. You just got to chill. Like I need the right song to come up, and then you go to hop on another pole. I'm like, well, shit, you just missed all them ones. I was gonna make it rain. Lewis is not doing that. He's got everything. And like my brother says, a very good point. Like he's bigger than the sport. He's got a lot of other things going on. Lewis is hella marketable. Lewis is going to bring in cash and eyeballs no matter what. Mercedes, there is an open market in the United States. Haas is the most un-American team on the grid. They've yet to take advantage of that. McLaren is working on it. I've made a video as to this much. Mercedes can come in. They got sports stadiums. They're probably one of the most selling foreign cars in America at the economy level and up. Like they have the ability, and they have the most diverse polarizing driver pairing on the grid, okay, with literally George Russell and Lewis Hamilton. So there is no better way to come into the United States with all of that working for himself and then just hop to another team that is not going to want him to be him, just to be part of the team. And more than that, how many teams or team principals or CEOs out there would like to be the person to try to show you that I will tame Lewis Hamilton and his character and let you see how a real boss is supposed to treat a driver? They're looking for that opportunity, just like other drivers on the grid are looking to be next to Lewis and do the shenanigans. There are CEOs and team principals out there looking to do the same. What you got, bro?
Do you know what? You made such a good point, Jay. That's why you're the GOAT. Because
God damn, thanks, man. Shit.
Do you know what? Yeah, I
love you, man. You know, to give hugs like that, man. God damn it, man. It's so sincere.
But you know, Lewis has probably seen these other team principals' reactions to when he tried to bring diversity through on the grid.
Right.
And he saw them try to block it. He saw them take their time with the responses, getting back to the Hamilton Commission investigation and report. He's seen how they are. So It's not about money. It's not about titles anymore. He's completed F1. He's won the most races. He's got the most poles. He's got the highest win percentage. He's got all these kids, like about everything. What do you want? He's got the record.
Right.
Other than Max, has got the most wins in the season record. I will accept that, because I know people will be in the comments like, oh, right. So didn't get youngest pole position driver there, did it? So
or the youngest champion.
So, oh shit! Did Vettel?
Vettel got that, bro.
Vettel got that. Of course,
Vettel got that.
So, what I would say is, for me, it's if you've seen the face of everyone on that grid for the last 15 years, and you've seen how they are with certain things, are you going to put yourself in a position where you're just going to go sit in that car and drive for this guy who didn't support you when you were doing Black Lives Matter, who didn't support you when you were going for a new jewelry ban, who didn't support you when the FIA stole a championship off you and they said, oh, this is racing? Come on, man. Like, I wouldn't do it, because I've got more sense than that. I've got more pride than that.
Facts. So I tell you what, we are coming up 15. We got about 15 minutes. Those who have their hands up, we're going to close it out. Be mindful of that time. Try to get your question off. That's going to be Mary Beanie, Sylvia Wick, Musa, and Will Harris are going to close us out. If you didn't make that cutoff, please remember to keep your mics on mute. Mary Beanie, you got it. What you got? I'm lowering your hand. Unmute yourself. You got the mic.
Right. Well, I would like to say that my thousands of emails finally worked for Sky and they got rid of the rest of. Thank God. Thank God.
Go ahead.
And Salty, I'm just can't wait till he retires. I'm so sick of that man. Maxi Pad, he can do whatever. I don't really care. I don't really care because Lewis is not going nowhere. He's been with Mercedes since he was 13 years old. He ain't going nowhere. Where is he going to go? Red Bull with our one token black engineer. Then that's saying, Lewis is taking drugs. Lewis has done this. Yeah, and him racing against Max. You seriously think Horner is going to let Lewis do what he wants against Max? No. Lewis is staying at Mercedes. The only way he's leaving Mercedes is when he retires.
Yeah.
But that's it. He's not going anywhere else. But I know the car will come good. They're in the garage right now. I have my little source at Mercedes. They're in the garage right now. And that car is going to come good. I've got faith in Lewis. I've been supporting him since 2006. I'm not going to stop now. Not going to stop because he doesn't give up. So I'm not going to give up. But Sky, but what do you feel, Nasha, about Sky with they're basically gaslighting. They're going, is Lewis going to leave? That's that. That's all I heard all day. It's like, come on, change the record, please.
Roger that. Appreciate that, Mary.
Thanks, Mary. Look, Jay, this is actually nice. It's a good time to say that me and Jay had a great chat on our Patreon. First Patreon chat we've done. I've opened it up to the public. I'll send you a link, Jay, if you could put it in the description. That'd be awesome.
All day, bro.
But me and Jay had a great chat about established media and how they are. And what I'll say before I get to that is this is what I was talking about, Mary, in the beginning. You've got to have your bullshit filter because this is what they're trying to feed you, and they're trying to make you feel a certain way. And unless you are able, and it only comes with experience of watching this sport and experience of talking. Look, the crazy thing about F1, more than football, more than the NFL, more than basketball, is that you can come into the sport and watch independent creators and they will give you more than you get on TV. The pundits in F1 are awful. It's crazy that we had Bernie Collins on today during practice, and it was the first time we've had someone talking about Formula One in a modern way, using modern theories and practices because they've been in the sport this century, and it was incredible. But what we get in F1 is a lot of narrative, and that's why, and if you feed into the narrative, you will get sucked into being very negative. And that's why the conversation that me and Jay had, where we were like, would you want to be like a Sky Sports presenter? Would you want to be like an ESPN presenter or whatever, right? And then we both said no, because we don't want to be a tool or a puppet for gaslighting fans and feeding. And what they'll do, the same way that they're doing with other people, they'll get a certain demographic out, whether that's, whether that's a woman, whether that's a black person, whether that's a black woman, whatever, right? Whether it's a person of color, and they'll push that person to push their agenda, and then they'll leave that person to take all the stones for the gaslighting they get, and they don't care. And I honestly, I think I see it for Tandy a little bit. I think Tandy will be a great presenter.
I can see that.
Oh, do you know what I mean? I think Tandy would be a great presenter, but then I want Tandy to go into that environment if she wasn't able to be Tandy. Right. And that's why we've got to build our own platform so that Tandy can be Tandy and not have to worry about her paycheck and not have to worry about whether she's going to get fired if she says something real. So, yeah, that's the situation we all are in as independent creators. And as people who watch, I think just make sure you've got your bullshit filter on and remember the things that you've learned from independent creators who do the research and have the knowledge, like Jay, like Cam, like all these other people, because that's where the real knowledge is.
Facts. All right, Sylvia Wick, I'm going to you next. I just want to say, like, what Nasha said is true. But it's reportedly that Fox, news hosts and all this were, when they were doing all the gaslighting about the Trump and saying he was right and then going and all, but supposedly they found private text messages where these reporters were talking about, why do we have to report on this guy? Why do we have to talk about this idiot crap? But yet on the front end of things, they're being told what they got to do. So like, it's a very real thing out here. Sylvia Wick, you got the mic. I'm gonna lower your hand. What you got?
I was just going to ask about, do you think that is Russell a good teammate for Lewis? After the last race, what he said let him through because he could go faster and he still couldn't keep up.
Guys,
Like a bit cocky.
Guys, you guys have to realize, I think everyone got too used to Valtteri Bottas, okay? And let me tell you now, Valtteri Bottas was fundamentally a bad teammate. I'll tell you why. Because he was not quick enough, okay? And there were so many times when he was off the pace, and there was so many times when people forget about the petulance Valtteri had. Spain 21, when he refused to move over until the last minute, and he was like, oh, just having some fun. Mexico, when he came off the start line and opened his pant up for Max. Like, there's Russia. Where was he? Turkey, 2020, in the middle of a title fight. Where was he? Hungary, 2021, although it helped cleaning out half of the grid. George Russell has done none of those things. Like, he's done none of those things. All George Russell has done, you have to remember, George Russell is fighting for his life. He is trying to make a career for himself in Formula One, and he believes in his mind that he is a future world champion. Now, there's nothing that will humble that. Valtteri Bottas came in and he said, I had to realize that I was not as good as Lewis Hamilton. And when I realized that, like, it was better for me, because it was messing with my mental health. All those years when we had Valtteri 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, and it never worked out. And I think that's what's ultimately going to happen to George. So yes, Jay, I don't know if you've got a little brother. Guys, I don't know if you have little siblings, little sisters. You're little, especially if you're the same gender, they'll always at some point try and outshine you. They'll try and beat you at something because that's all they want. They look at you and they look up to you. Russell had Lewis's book and he wanted it signed by him. Remember that scene on the podium when he was like bathing in Lewis' adulation?
Oh, shit.
It was the best moment of his life. All he wants to do is beat Lewis Hamilton because Lewis Hamilton's his idol. And you know what? In equal machinery, we're going to see this year that all those fifth places, all those lucky safety cars, it's not going to happen, bro. Like, you can't, lightning can't strike us. You can't go to the roulette table and just keep throwing black and expecting to win every time. Just because it works 5 times in a row last time, it's not going to work 5 times in a row this time. So I think he's a good teammate in that he's competent. And that's what you want first and foremost. After that, let him moan on the radio. Let him ask for alternative strategies. Unless he can get past Lewis on pace, it's like a chihuahua biting at your leg. It's not a big deal. Bark is worse than its bite. So, like, it's fine.
Damn. Hey, speaking of chihuahuas, like, I literally almost ran one over yesterday. It looked like some trash in the street till the little fucker got up and started walking around. I was like, damn, that's a dog. I mean, hey.
My Pummy nearly ran in the street today. I was like, brother. And then he started barking at some big fucking dog that was off a leash. I had to pick him up. And the owner was like, does your dog want to get eaten? I was like, oh my God.
Damn.
I was like, Teddy,
I'm about to have to fight out here.
Bro, you're going to get me. I live in the hood and you're going to get me. You're going to get eaten. I'm going to get eaten. Like, neither of us are about this life right now.
Hey, Musa, you up next. Hey, you got the mic. I'm going to lower your hand. Unmute yourself.
Thank you.
By the way, Musa, I'm going to give you props. I think that's the first time somebody actually asked us to visualize ourselves in something. So big shout out for that way you frame that up, bro. Go ahead. Make this a good one, too.
I'll try my best. I just want to move a little bit more off topic to a different team, and I've just been analyzing. I want us to go to Ferrari this time around, and
Okay.
you know, obviously they've been having issues with reliability, and I've been making, you know, some coy jokes about being stressed about, you know, trying to get an A12 super fast, and you know, you're not knowing what's going to happen, but you know, these things do happen. But in any case, my real thoughts about Ferrari is, on paper, Charles Leclerc is the man, or presumably he's the guy. But I think when I'm looking at it from what the team needs as a team, the team needs a driver that is a leader. And there's been a lot of situations where Carlos Sainz has made executive decisions, you know, on the fly, you know, actually rejecting team instructions, and that has benefited him.
Okay.
What would you think? Who would you think between those two drivers will become world champion first?
All right. Nash, you got it, bro. You the guest. You go first.
Charles Leclerc. Look, you're so right. And as you were saying that, I was like, if I could take Charles Leclerc's pace with Carlos Sainz's adaptability and work rate, you would have quite close to the perfect driver. I think the crux of the matter is, I think Sainz is more experienced than Leclerc. I think we have to remember that. I think Leclerc came into the sport in 2018. I think Sainz came into the sport in 2015. So, you know, he's got 3 years extra, which is not that much. And obviously,
well, it's a little bit. You know, 3 years.
It's a little bit.
It's a little bit. And I think sometimes it showed with his decision making and the way he's kind of decided to take a hold of situations where Charles kind of set back sometimes.
Yeah, and also I think Carlos doesn't have anything to lose.
You know, house money.
Like, do you know what I mean? Carlos is on a hiding to nothing. Either he matches Leclerc, essentially he's there to be as close as to Leclerc or beat Leclerc and get a new contract. And then if he doesn't, then he will get replaced.
Right.
So if he doesn't do everything in his power to beat Leclerc, including overriding strategy, then, you know, then he wouldn't have given the Ferrari gig its full go. So Leclerc is Ferrari's baby. He was in the junior program. You know, they've essentially gifted him his whole life. I actually liken it to Lewis at McLaren, and we'll see if Charles ever goes out and grows his wings somewhere. It would be interesting to see if that ever happens, because, you know, it was hard for Lewis to go against Ron Dennis. And I think it's hard for Charles. Charles, you saw how Mathieu Benoit was shaking his finger at him at Silverstone last year.
Right.
And that was one time when he was like, bro, guys, this is bullshit. So I think for Charles, I think you're right. I think Charles does need to learn leadership, but it's hard. It's hard. You get to that age where you want to challenge your parents. You've never challenged your parents. You've never challenged your elders in your family. But you get to an age where you want to, but it's like, at what point? I've been taught that that's disrespectful.
Right.
That's the African in me coming out.
Right.
But like, it's, you know what I mean? You're taught it's disrespectful. And I think Charles doesn't want to be disrespectful. You can hear him on the radio, even today. Oh, guys, that was too late.
Right.
Like, if that was Max, what the fuck was that? Why would you tell me that? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, Max has got no issue. And maybe that's the difference. So maybe you're right. If Charles is more like Max and willing to call out the team, swear at them, but also Ferrari is a different brand to Red Bull.
Right.
So, no, and you're right. Him not taking the lead is what's cost him. We'll see. All I'm saying is you're right, but I can see why he hasn't done it. Yes, I don't think he's the greatest leader of men in the world. I wouldn't follow Charles Leclerc into battle, but also trying to change Ferrari from the inside as a Ferrari product, I think that's hard. So I'm willing to shoot him a bit of bail, but you're right. He needs to step up as a man. I hate to put like toxic masculinity on him, but go and listen to some Future. Okay.
Yeah.
Go listen to some Future. Go listen to some down south hip hop. Get your mind right. Okay. And then go into the office and be like, hey, sort your shit.
Right.
In the words of Pimp C, top-notch hoes get the most, not the lesser.
Right.
Are
you
you
know
a
what I'm saying?
top-notch hoe?
But you know about goddamn Pimp.
I love that song.
I love that shit. I love my brother. I'm telling you. I didn't see that shit coming. I didn't even see that shit coming. That's what I'm talking about. Pimp C. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace.
Song,
hey,
Rest
Will
in peace.
Harris, man. You got the best time, man. You gonna hit us with the back door, bro. You got the mic. Unmute yourself. I'm gonna lower your hand, close us out. Then I'm finna take us out on this outro. What's up?
Sorry. The Wildcat had their hand up.
Where's Wildcat?
They had their hand up. He had it up for a while.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, brother, because it is the option of the guest. Do you want to? Because if Wildcat had his hand up, I didn't see it, but Uno had his hand up. Mary wanted to say something. Do you want to take those three before you close out? Okay, so I tell you what, those three, Uno, Mary, Wildcat, hands up, I'm gonna get you. Hey, and thank Nasha, he's extended his time. Definitely want to be respectful of that. He's on the grind just as hard as I am. So Will, you will, if you could just hold off, because I still want you to close off because you do a damn good job at the back door closing. Just hold off, Will, put your hand up again, and I'm gonna bring you in on the last one, please. Okay, so Uno, you got the mic. I'm gonna lower your hand, unmute yourself.
Hello, guys. I thought I just missed this bit, but Nasha is your name? Yeah, what's up, my man?
How you doing, man? You okay?
Yeah, I'm being good. I was just having a sore throat, but at the moment's been catching up on the F1 and just been watching the practice 1 and 2. And I gotta say, there's something I didn't quite like that I was discussing to myself, even with the guys, but I was discussing with myself. And it's something to do with the W14. And I'm going to ask you this question, and I want your perfect answer. Do you actually think?
Damn, pressure.
Yeah, Jay. I know. You're coming into, because I know one thing, you love that W14. Well, here's my question.
All right.
What do you think of it actually being classed as a prototype instead of being the original when it was testing? And then, as we see now on the practice, a slight difference and altercation in the actual production of the car. And why did it actually come out like a Red Bull style? And what is the purpose of doing all that?
God damn.
Your answer.
Good question. Good question. I'm about to mute you so Nasha can get that. God damn, that's some pressure, bro. That was a good one. Nasha, you got that all on your own. Nah, I ain't gonna leave you by yourself. Go ahead, bro. What you got?
Listen, I got you involved, Jay, because this is what you were talking about, the W14 as well. So
right.
I want your opinion.
I'm gonna follow up after my brother. I'm gonna follow up after my brother. I got you. You ain't by yourself. We gonna be together in this battlefield. I got you.
Jay, can you go first?
You're my brothers, guys. You're my brothers, and I want the perfect answer of what is all this palaver going on.
Got
with
Okay, you know what,
W14.
Jay.
All right, hold on. No, I'm gonna mute you so
can
we can answer and then go to the next person. I got you.
Jay, because you've been referenced as something that is
right.
So could you just give me some more context? Because the prototype thing is not something that I'm and this
okay. So it came out
this,
supposedly through unknown sources to mine. I just heard it clamor out here that supposedly the W14 up until this point, which is only one race in the season in Bahrain, was technically like a prototype version. So if we take it back to what was that, like 2002, Ferrari came out with a car and then had to use the old car and then had the new car, totally didn't come out with it, and they were still kind of developing it. Well, suppose it's kind of reminiscent of that this W14 is not completely done. They are working on the real W14 to really come out, and until then, they're going to utilize this one. So that's out there. How true that really is, I don't know, but I'm definitely going to speak to it because he put the pressure on. Uno does that. So I'll go first and then I'll let you go. So I'm going to go through the front door with the master key. Boom. Yeah. I'm going to let you come in with the AR-15. Right. Oh, okay. So what I would say is this. Bullshit. Bullshit. If this is really something that happened, is not only is this an indictment organizationally wise to Mercedes to even come out. If this shit was true, I would never say it. I would never come out and say, with everything that's been going on, with the fact that we got rumors out here that Lewis Hamilton, 7-time world champion, one of the most decorated driver on the grid, probably in Formula One history, told us the W14 was not a promising design. And we said, Lewis, shut the hell up. You're not an aerodynamicist. You're not an engineer. You're just a great driver. We're going to develop you a very fast car and you're going to win championships. And right now he's not, because we didn't listen to him. I'm not coming out and saying that, yo, we put Lewis in a prototype purposely until we finish some shit on the back. I told you all in the video, when is it going to be that you're going to put this shit on the shelf? And when I said put it on the shelf, I meant put the W14 on the shelf and then come out with some real shit that you can develop. If that's going to be the case, then it needs to be the case. But I'm not going to come out and say to the public and say, hey, you know what? Don't worry about it. I heard we sandbagging right now. That sandbagging shit's over. It's over.
Yeah, no, that's
real
finished.
Development is time. You're not going to tell me that a championship team like Mercedes is going to say, yeah, we just going to sit up here and lose on purpose, but watch us come out the back. It doesn't work like that in Formula One. Unless nitrous is coming to the grid in the next 3 races, that shit's not happening. So, no, I don't really believe that it's a prototype. What I do believe is this. In the first race in Bahrain, during practice, we saw aero rakes, we saw flow viz, and we saw this because these teams do not have the same amount of time they had prior to for testing and to fully understand in real time what they have developed. Mercedes has by far developed something that nobody really fully understands, not even themselves. And I believe right now they're still understanding it, because once you make a change, you now have to go through the fact and the progressions of understanding what those changes have done and how can we implement something else to get more of a positive result out of these changes we've done, until they come to the road to say, this shit ain't gonna work. So no, I'm not buying the prototype shit. If that's what they said, I really don't like that Mercedes may have taken that route, but I haven't seen anybody from Mercedes coming out. What we saw is Toto come out in a conference and say, we may be looking to develop in a different direction if this is not going to work. That's facts. That's what we saw. That's what he said. Now, what that direction is, that doesn't mean that they're going to switch up and become a Red Bull type or Ferrari type. It means that right now where we are is not working. We're going to find a way to find something that's going to work. And we don't know what that development looks like. If it looks like the rest of the cars, then so be it. But hell, it is what it is. So no, I'm not buying into that shit. Naja, bro, you up. I kicked the door in. What you want to do?
No, thank you. And I think I don't actually have much more to say other than, again, guys, if you don't take anything away from this, other than what I'm about to say, then hopefully you've learned. Gotta have your bullshit filter, guys. And you know, there's so much information, and it's not just F1, right? Like, there's so much dating information out there. There's so much football information out there. There's so much politics information out there. There's an almost abundance of information on the internet now, but not all of it is good.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to apply common sense, experience, precedent to realism.
Right.
You've got to apply all those things, right? And you know, you'll stress yourself out if you try and take everything at face value. That's what's stressing a couple of people out. You can't take everything at face value. So no, I don't think it's a prototype. I think the team are, I'm not going to lie, I think the team are at a crossroads, to be honest. And it might get worse before it gets better. So,
facts.
You know, that's just I can't remember the last time any team made up 0.8 of a second in a season, bro. Like, it's not. It's not easy.
No,
so
it's not.
I think, you know, I think the idea of it being a prototype is almost like a coping mechanism. Because, like, how could we have built a car this bad? Well, we
right.
And it sucks, man. It sucks. This is not nice, but You couldn't eat that, man.
Hey, before y'all make my brother cry on damn TV.
I know. I'm just like,
right, he's like,
oh,
damn,
this is
no,
so
it's okay, bro. I got you. Mary Beanie, you got the mic. I'm gonna lower your hand. Unmute yourself.
Right, thank you.
No problem.
I was just going to say, Nacho, it was nice to see Mario actually talking. It was nice to actually see you got Mario on. But I was going to ask I nearly swore there. Oh God, I kept that in.
Am I not allowed to swear on it, Jay?
Shit, you
Well,
I cuss out, bro. I'll be out. You all right? Say what you gotta say.
No, I just thought when I seen the record, I thought, God, I better keep that crap in. Like,
no.
Hey, Mary, what you got?
Right.
What's up?
What I was going to say, Naja, is what's the word, man? Oh shit! I've done it. Oh God, I've done it. Do you think? Well, me personally, I think that he will eventually. When Lewis goes, I think Leclerc's going to go to Merc. But over the years, I've watched F1 for a long time, and there is some drivers that are thinkers on the track, and I think Sainz is one of them. Lewis is definitely one. But can you see anyone else? I mean, I'm not listening to the garbage saying that Lando's going to go to Merc or that's that. I can see Lando going to Red Bull eventually, but I can't see him going to Merc. But I can also see maybe Lewis starting his own team when he leaves. What do you think?
So what's your question? What's your direct question?
That is. Do you think that Lewis will start his? Yeah.
Oh shit, good one, Mary. I like that one. Hey, so do you think Lewis is gonna do LeBron do own team in Oakland and Nevada? Do you think Lewis is gonna start his own team on the grid? Do you think they even allow that? What do you think, Nasha? What do you think, bro?
I was gonna say, if Andretti can't get a Formula One team, then
right.
I don't know. Honestly, I'll be honest with you. I don't think Lewis wants anything to do with this sport once he's done. Like, I think he wants to go and explore everything that his creative mind wants. I think he's really going to get into fashion. I think he wants to get into production. I think Lewis is on his LeBron, Serena, that billionaire
shit, right?
Yeah, like Jay, like he wants to get into investing. I wouldn't be surprised to see Lewis come out with some kind of alcohol brand at some point. I wouldn't be surprised to see Lewis come. I mean, like, custom Mercedes things.
Facts,
like, bro. The world is Lewis's oyster. I'll tell you a really cool story and I'll be quick. Hopefully he doesn't mind me saying the story. He actually just texted me earlier. This is such a... So, Trayvon Free, Oscar-winning director, was texting me the other day. But Trayvon, he's been on the podcast. You know what? Yeah, he was one of the first. I think he was one of the first. I want to say Americans who came on the podcast, and it opened up our whole market. And I'll be eternally grateful to him. But he basically, long story short, he was at Austin 22, and he was a guest of Lewis Hamilton. And he said he went for a dinner with Lewis Hamilton, and he was like, it was like billionaire dinner table. He was like, Elon Musk was there, Jeff Bezos was there, so-and-so was there, so-and-so was there, so-and-so was there. Like, the circles Lewis runs in are above F1. Like, this guy is looking to create a conglomerate of media, fashion, who knows, tech. Like, we don't know. I think he is on his look. He's got a part of the Broncos, so we know he wants to own a sports team. I don't know if he'd want to be. I mean, he owns Formula E, Extreme E. So look, Mary, the more I talk, the more I'm like, maybe if there's an opportunity to buy a team, he would.
We already got XE. He already got an XE
team.
Yeah,
it's got XE. So it's an easy thing for him to do, and it'll be an easy thing for him. But if that team's bad,
Oh my gosh.
Does he want the Hamilton name all over a team that in a sport where unless he buys Red Bull, Mercedes, or Ferrari, you know what I mean? I don't think he would. I think he's got, and I don't think he wants to be trackside. I don't think he wants to deal with Formula One. They're bringing him in for his nose piercings every 2 minutes. Does he really want to go back to that? So I think that I don't think he's going to have a Formula One team, but I think we should be really excited for what Lewis is going to do in the future because it's going to be some incredible stuff.
Bet. Hey,
that was a really good question.
That was a good question. Will, you gonna close us out, bro, officially? Then I'm gonna give us the outro and give Nasha the floor to let everybody know how to support and where to go. Will, what's up, man? What you got?
All right. I just wanted to piggyback on a couple of points here that everyone was bringing up towards the end, kind of like some food for thought as we close this out.
Yeah.
One of the things that I know Nasha was talking about as far as Tandy being brought into maybe like a commentator space, I personally think people probably would tune in because I think we'd all want to hear about the antelopes and the lions. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh my God.
I think that would be interesting.
She's one of one.
I think that would be interesting.
Yeah.
I was also going to talk about Jay bringing up the point about the press conference that where they brought up a whole, additional car and all that. That was somebody from the Times that brought that up in the press conference with the 4 team principals. And he did outright say that it's not even about the resources. It's just about why would we change to a totally different chassis? Because he asked in the beginning, is that a chassis thing or is this because most people think change the car, it could be the chassis or it could be all the components that come together around the chassis. And he said, we're not even really looking to go that route. So I agree with Jay that it's not that. It's really not that. Toto said it outright, but the guy from the Times brought it up to say, hey, is there maybe another car that could possibly come out on the grid? And I think I've got faith in what Toto's saying that that's probably not going to happen. But maybe it'll just be upgrades and we'll see how it goes. The other thing I wanted to bring up was to kind of close it out with the Jeddah thing. I think that they've made the correct improvements to the track as far as safety concerns. They removed a lot of those steel strips to put in strips, which a lot of people, that's what the issues were in 2021 and 2022. All these massive crashes where people sliding around on some of those rumble strips coming around certain turns. They were able to push back some of those concrete barriers, about 2 to 7 meters, they said. Some of the fencing was adjusted so they could actually see a lot better, because that changed a lot from those bigger tires from 21 to 22, and they couldn't see going around the track. So I think going into the race, first of all, we had no crashes, which is great. We had no crashes and the cars are still going faster. So I think they solved that. So I think going into the race, I think Jeddah's been a good race overall. They just have to get around that safety thing. And I think that they've got that pretty much squared away, and I think we'll see some good qualifying and good racing. Obviously we kind of know who's sitting out of the front, but we'll have to let the season keep on going and see how that goes. Okay. The last thing I wanted to bring up, just as an interesting point, I wanted to get you guys' take on this, nepotism in Formula One. And I'm seeing this happen now with a couple of big name teams, two teams that really have one's big name and another one is kind of new to the grid, and that's Ferrari and Red Bull. We've seen this before with Williams when Frank Williams went out and Claire Williams came in to take over, but we're seeing it now with Ferrari where John Elkann is in. He's the head now of the Agnelli family, and they're like a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate Italian family that owns everything, including Ferrari and shares in all these different companies. And he's 46 years old coming in to run it, and then you have Mateschitz' son, Mark Mateschitz, that's now really wants nothing to do with Red Bull in terms of it. It seems that way, the way that Dietrich was involved, because he was a big person as far as racing goes. So my question is this: do you think that with these two new entities coming in, because we already saw Mark broke that down and said there's not one person that's going to answer to the Formula One team. It used to be Horner to Marco to Mateschitz. Now it's Horner to Marco, and there's like a 3-person team that nobody's really talked about that has to make the decisions finalized. Do you think this is going to be a thing where these two teams might start to really change up because the people that are running it, just like what happened with Williams, you might see these teams start to decline?
All right. So, Nasha, is that question, we'll let Nasha answer that question directly. It's to Nasha, correct?
Yes.
Okay, Nasha, you got it, bro.
I think it's a tough one because if I give an example, although it wasn't nepotism, Bernie Ecclestone used to say, "I'm the only one who can run Formula One because I'm always right," and he was the decision maker. And then obviously it's gone to Liberty, and it's much more of like a pyramid, and there's different people who make decisions, and it's got better. So in that sense, I think it can get better. Well, I guess a diversity of thought in theory is always good.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's two different things. I think what's definitely happened is they've both lost really big founding father type personalities, and with that goes spirit. And I think if you don't replace spirit with something that can replace that, whether that's efficiency, whether that's innovation, whether that's something that can propel the team forward, then the teams are going to go backwards. I think if anyone's more likely to go backwards, it's Ferrari than Red Bull, purely because as much as, sorry, I can't remember, is it Matisic, right? As much as they were such an important figure in Red Bull, and they were like almost like a grandfather figure, really and truly, it was Horner and Helmut Marko who were the driving force behind Red Bull F1, and I don't see that changing.
Right.
Whereas with Ferrari, it feels like anything could knock them off their path, to be honest. And, they've got a new team principal in. He really needed to get off to a strong start, and to have these engines that are made out of beef shin ragu and pappardelle, I don't understand. Like, honestly, it's made out of the finest Italian pasta. Instead
I've been trying to tell people. I said they went to the gas station and got down Fred Vazor ingredients to make a damn beef Wellington. That shit ain't gonna work.
Bro, let me tell you. You know what Ferrari remind me of? Yeah, Ferrari remind me of those girls who like casually take. I'm just saying, this is like a TikTok thing. I'm not saying girls do this all the time, but they'll be like, God, my boyfriend told me my tires look bald. Is he right? And then you look at them and they're like slits. And I'm like, what? I change your tires. You're like, oh my God, just put like unleaded in my diesel car. Whoa.
Right.
What do you mean? And I just to come to a race and for both cars to have to take engine change penalties. Luckily, Sainz is still within his allotment, whereas Leclerc's gone over his electronic component.
Year two, it's a wrap.
Exactly. To go over to his wrap, and he's already at 3 at race 2. Like this race, in theory, this has got to last until the end of the season.
Right. Clearly, y'all remember that video I did on 2023 challenges about the allotments? They was gonna blow through these allotments. It's already starting to happen.
It's already started to happen. So I just think Ferrari are more likely to implode from the top, because Fred's under a lot of pressure, and if it carries on, it's just you'd hope he'd get more than a year. But yeah, Ferrari top to bottom always seems like it's a bit of organized chaos.
Well, shit, listen, y'all came with some fire questions. I love it. The fam that showed up, big shout out for supporting. Nasha, man, tell these people where they can come support you, where they can come see you, where they can come visit you. You know what I'm saying? Let them know what's up. And by the way, when he does do that, I'm going to make it easy for you, all right? You don't have to write it down. I'm going to put the links in the description below in the YouTube video. But Nasha, go ahead and rattle that off, and I'm going to close this out.
No, thank you. You can find QuickStop F1 anywhere on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, at QuickStop F1 or QuickStop F1. I do it with Tandy. Always got to big up Tandy. That's my co-host and co-founder. And yeah, we have a Patreon you can sign up to if you want ad-free viewership. And obviously, if you want any merch, you can go to QuickStopF1.com. So anything you want, just type in QuickStop F1 into Google. I'm sure something that you like will turn up there.
Boss made. So listen, like I said, I'm gonna make it easy. I'm gonna put the links in the description. If you're watching this and you're like, damn, I couldn't get in and ask a question, that's because you're not in the fam. All right. Family, respect, love. I'm gonna give you as much access as I can. Become a family member, support the channel, be here, ask these questions, because it's not enough time to be in the comment section, right? Me and Nasha might not see the comment section, although I try to take time to answer all these comments, but it's different to let you all bring your characteristics, bring your questions, and verbally have these questions. And y'all came with some fire ones, so I'm really looking forward to the next. So, hey, if you're not VIP, you ain't in the building. Big shout out to Jesse James Bell, new VIP boss coming to you, Mary Beanie, Wildcat. Hey, it's going to be, we got a new VIP member and I'm going to announce them next week. Those are going out. Don't forget, the new merch is going to be coming out. Purple Sector's Lifestyle is going to be dropping soon. And we got something big coming up in the next couple of weeks. So big shout out to everybody. This is another Wolves Den. I'm Jay. Got my brother Nash on here from QuickStop F1 and the Wolfpack family. We out. Peace. Thanks for watching another episode of Wolfpack Performance. Don't forget to check out some of my other content on Formula One and motorsports topics. Like, share, subscribe, and we go live on the weekends. See you soon.